Holly's unofficial boyfriend, Jason Derulo.
Yeah, that's right. My daughter one time asked me why I didn't date him. I'm like, oh, baby, it's not possible.
We are live right now on the Hits 961 and Miguel and Holly Facebook page for Queen City Confessions.
Anonymous secrets. Let's go.
Here's the first one. I used to absolutely despise my sister's husband.
Oh.
But now I think he's super handsome and I'm falling for him.
Wait a minute. Why does this sound almost exactly like the confession we had the other day?
Because she ain't the only one. Just like we said earlier this week, stop it in your tracks now.
Yeah, stop. Please stop. Okay, and you also have to think, like, why did you despise him in the first place? Maybe get back to that.
Right. And listen, just because you think someone is handsome doesn't mean that you should be with them romantically.
If someone would have really sat me down and told me that in my early 20s, like, that is not that's lust.
Right.
You're not falling in love. You're falling in lust. Just go find a hot man on the internet. Okay. There's a lot of hot men that have bad personalities. But if you're only looking for a hot man, you could have your pick.
Right. And then think about what I always say when people get into these sort of awkward situations. What's the end game? If you go down that route, what's going to happen to your family, to your sister? And I don't know if your sister has kids with this guy. And then let's just play this out.
Okay.
He breaks it off with your sister. He ends up with you. Y'all get married. You have kids. What's going to happen with your sister? So I'm just saying, think about that, and maybe that hopefully will help you start to distance yourself from him.
Right, because we're talking about the rest of your family's legacy.
Yeah. Here's another Queen City confession. Should I be worried? My boyfriend realized earlier this week that he didn't have his phone on him. He thought maybe he left it at work. When we went to track its location, it was at his coworker's house. And that coworker is a she.
Mm-hmm.
He said she probably took it by accident. I think he's lying and maybe he was over at her house before he came home. Should I be worried? Yes. Sis, you should be worried.
Yeah, I would say be worried. Although what's weird is that he was on board with tracking it with you. That's the weird part for me. Like, obviously, if you knew that your phone, but sometimes people are really stupid. But if you knew that you had been at the woman you're having an affair with's house and where would your phone possibly be? I would not allow my spouse to help me track it.
Right.
So maybe he's just cheating and dumb, or there's a very small possibility that he's being honest and is also he just dumb either way.
Right. Well, I also think that some people think they're slicker than they are.
Ooh, maybe that's the case.
And he was like, oh, I left it at work. So he's thinking, oh, you won't think anything about it, because he thinks you're gullible. So this is the time where you have to trust your gut.
Yeah. But see, there's no proof yet. And he will deny it till the cows come home.
But it was at her house.
Correct.
That's
but
all.
He can explain.
Mm-hmm. I say put a tracker on his car. Actually, has anyone in the Miguel and Holly fam actually used a tracker on someone, on their car?
I'm sure someone has.
Their purse, or you track their phone when they didn't know that you were tracking it.
Get those Apple AirTags.
Yes. If you've done this before, we can keep you anonymous. Text hits in your message to 96893. All right, it is 7:31. We got to get to blown off. Now, would you not go out with someone because of their eating habits?
I mean, I guess it depends.
Like, if you're sitting across from someone and they're eating and you're on your first date, would you be like, oh, girl, I can't do this again? Well, that's what happened with this blown off.
Mm-hmm.
But what were the eating